I've made a few videos about iOS 17 now, but there are still a few features that I reckon most people won't have figured out yet that could add some real value to the way that you use your iPhone. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, 10 lesser known iOS 17 tips that I reckon you won't have heard of. Stick with me to the end of the video if you want to make sure you're getting the absolute most out of iOS 17. Okay, let's get into it. There are two significant new additions to accessibility in iOS 17. The first is live speech, which is where you can type phrases or choose from preset phrases that you would like your iPhone to speak out in a natural speaking voice. It's a great feature for anyone who is either losing their voice or is at risk of losing their voice in the future. But where this feature really comes into its own is when it's used in addition with personal voice. If you go to Settings, then Accessibility, then scroll down to the Speech section and choose Personal Voice, you can see that there is an option in here called Create a Personal Voice. Tap on this, confirm your identity using Face or Touch ID, and then follow the steps to create your personal voice. This involves speaking 150 phrases into your phone. Your phone then uses those phrases along with machine learning to create a representation of your voice. It takes around 15 to 20 minutes to complete all of the phrases, and then it will take some time afterwards for your device to process your voice. But once it's done, it will show in the personal voice section, like you can see with mine here. Then, at any time, you would triple tap the side button to bring up personal voice. You can store any phrases that you're likely to use on a regular basis in the phrases section, or you can use the keyboard to type out any phrase that you would like your phone to speak for you.
Hi, this is Tom from Proper Honest Tech, trying out personal voice on the iPhone.
There's already first-party support for this in apps like FaceTime, and I would assume that third-party support for other apps will be coming in time. So if you fall into the demographic of people that might find this useful, you should definitely check this out. If you head into Settings, then General, then iPhone Storage, you can view the content of your iPhone and see where your available phone storage is being used up. This isn't new, but previously your phone would automatically sort the apps on your phone based on their size. Now in iOS 17, you can view apps based on their size, but also their name, which sorts them alphabetically, or by the date that you last used that particular app. This is useful if you want to quickly find apps that you perhaps downloaded a really long time ago and haven't looked at since. This is a quick and easy way of sorting through and getting rid of some of that old content. When you find an app that you'd like to get rid of, you can either tap into it and choose Delete App, or you can swipe from right to left and choose the same option. Choosing Offload App basically removes the app from your device, but keeps its important data so that if you change your mind and want to download the app again in the future, you can do so knowing that you can revert the app to how you had it prior to removing it from your device. I've been really impressed with iOS 17, nowhere more so than here on my iPhone 15 Pro, and something else I've been really impressed with is the range of accessories that Anker have just released for the latest iPhones. So you've got this great little Anker Nano USB-C wall charger, which folds away to be tiny enough to throw into a travel bag, even here in the UK, which might not sound like a big deal, but with our 3-pin plugs here, it is rare to find a 30-watt fast charger that's also super portable. Pair it with this great braided USB-C to USB-C cable. I think this is about 1.5 meters, and it looks and feels extremely high quality. Then there's this little Nano power bank, and this thing is really cool. It's got a foldable USB-C port to make it easy to throw into your bag and travel with, but it still manages to support 22.5 watt charging, meaning this can fast charge the latest iPhones, and the design means that you can still easily use the phone while it's charging if you want to. So if you're ever caught short on a train, for example, and you still really need to be able to work on your iPhone whilst charging it, this will let you do that. It's got a 5,000 milliamp hour capacity, so you've definitely got one full charge of an iPhone 15 or even a Pro Max in here, and you can plug in a USB-C cable into the side if you need to charge something else. But my favorite product is this Nano power bank. This allows for 30-watt fast charging, and it does so either via the dual USB-C ports and a cable, or via the included USB-C cable, which doubles up as a way of holding the power bank, and it can be used to charge the power bank up as well. This has a 10,000 milliamp hour capacity, so enough to charge your latest gen iPhone 3 times before you need to charge the power bank itself, and the screen gives you useful information like the charge of the power bank or the time it's going to take to charge your iPhone. If you've invested in the latest iPhones, make the most of that USB-C connector by picking yourself up some of these amazing Anker Nano charging accessories, and thanks again to Anker for sponsoring this video. There are a couple of improvements related to creating links in iOS 17. The first I can show you by creating a new email. Here you can see that in the first line of the email, I want to share a map location for a conference center. I'll go into Maps and locate the conference center, then tap the Share button and choose Copy. I'll then go back to the email and select and highlight the text where I'd like to insert the link. Notice that in the contextual menu, there is an option called Add Link. This has been there for a while, but this is a multi-step process. Once you tap that button, you still have to then insert the link into a dedicated field. Much easier to simply tap the Paste button. Your link is inserted into the text, which is formatted correctly. I'll show you it again, this time with a Safari link. So we go to Safari, we tap on Share, and we choose Copy. We then go back to the email, select and highlight the text where we'd like to insert the link, and in the contextual menu that appears, choose Paste. And just to show you, both of these links absolutely work the way that they should. The other improvement is a more subtle one, as it's an improvement that Apple have added to iOS 17 rather than a feature that you're going to use yourself manually. Apple are calling this link tracking protection. Essentially, marketers often add tracking information to links in order to track users across different websites. Now, according to Apple, this information will be removed from the links that users share in messages and mail, but the links will still work as expected. So, same functionality and user experience, but with more security, which can't be a bad thing. I've talked about profiles in Safari in some of my earlier videos about iOS 17. A profile is essentially a way of creating a separate version of the Safari browser, unique to whatever it is that you're doing. Each profile can contain a separate browsing history, separate cookies, and separate settings, meaning that you could have one for school, one for work, one for personal use, or you can be much more granular than that if you like. But there is an interesting setting that I didn't cover in my previous video that I think is worth talking about here. Let's say, for example, that you know that there's a certain website that whenever you open a link to that website, you want it to open in a specific profile. You can set this up quickly and easily within Safari settings. Let me show you. So for this example, I'm using the website TechCrunch. You can see that at present we're in the personal profile, but let's say that for this example that I always want links to this website to open in my work project profile. First, tap on the AA button in the address bar. Then choose Website Settings. In here, tap on the Open Links in Profile button and change this from Most Recent Profile to Work Project. You can see that the default is that links will open in whatever profile you've been using most recently, but for this example, we want to change it. Then to show you how this works, I'm going to go to my email, where I've received an email with a link to an article at TechCrunch. I'll tap on the link and the article will open in Safari, but more importantly, you can see that it's opened in the work project profile, even though we were just in the personal profile. This is an extremely handy setting, especially if you're someone who knows that there are certain websites that you always want to open in a specific profile, and you should absolutely check this out. You can choose the search engine that you'd like to use as your default in Safari. You've been able to do that for a while now, but you can now choose a different search engine for your private browsing if you wish. To do this, open Settings and choose Safari. If you tap into Private Search Engine, you can either leave it as is, in other words, the same as your main search engine, or you can choose from one of the other search engines available. In this tip, I'm going to show you two really cool new features related to messages. So the first is swipe to reply. You can swipe on a message from left to right to reply specifically to that message. It's really easy to do, just a gentle swipe and type whatever it is that you'd like to say in reply to someone. The nice thing about it is that once you've done this, message includes a line from the message that you replied to the reply that you just sent. So if you're doing this in a busy group chat, it's easy for you and everyone else to see exactly who you were replying to. But you can see that in this example, the person that I've been messaging wants me to share a phone number with them. If you have that person in your phone as a contact, doing this is extremely easy in iOS 17. You would simply begin typing your message, and then when you're ready, tap and hold on the screen for a moment until you see this contextual menu. Choose Autofill, and then choose Contact. Choose the contact from your contact list, and then choose what it is that you would like to share. In this case, of course, it would be his phone number. And just like that, the phone number is inserted into my message for me. Note that this would work for anything that you've got stored against your contact, including phone numbers, email addresses, physical addresses, but it can also be used to share passwords and scan in text using your phone's camera. If you're a weather nerd, there is a lot to like in the new weather app in iOS 17. At first glance, it may not look like a lot has changed, but as you start to work your way down the app, you'll notice there is an awful lot of new information in here. There's now an averages module, which allows you to see how the current temperature and rainfall varies from historical averages on that day. You can also view the monthly averages here, and you can of course change the location that you're currently looking at, so if you're planning a trip somewhere, this could be really useful information for you to access. There's also a much more detailed wind module, and there's even a moon module, with more information about the moon than I ever possibly thought I would want to know, even allowing you to see what the moon is going to look like based on each day of the coming month. By the way, if you're enjoying the content here, why not consider signing up to my free newsletter, The Proper Weekly, which you can do via the link in the description of this video or by scanning the QR code on screen now. The newsletter goes out each Friday, and I include some tech news from the week, a behind the scenes of what's happening here on the channel, as well as a tip for an item in the Apple ecosystem. If you go to Spotlight Search and type in the word timer, you can see that there is a shortcut within Spotlight Search to set a timer. You would simply tap the Set Timer button and follow the on-screen prompts to set your timer. But if you instead type Set Timer into Spotlight Search, you'll see that the option is ever so slightly different. It functions the same way if you tap on it, but notice the ellipsis menu to the right. If you tap into that, you can then choose Add to Home Screen. This is essentially going to quickly create a timer shortcut for you. You can choose from a large number of symbols down at the bottom of the screen, as well as change the color. When you're happy with your selection, you would press Add in the upper right corner of the screen. And just like that, a Set Timer shortcut tile has been added to your home screen. Tap on it and the shortcut appears just like it did before. So if you're someone who knows that you like to set a lot of timers and you'd prefer to do this from your phone screen rather than using your voice assistant, for example, this is a quick and easy way of doing it. There is a setting in your iPhone's camera settings that makes it really easy for you to know whether or not you're capturing a level photo. If you open Settings and then scroll down to the camera options, in here you can see that just below Grid there's an option called Level, which you can toggle on. I would recommend toggling on Grid as well, by the way. You don't need to for this to work, but it's just generally a good camera feature. With this toggled on, when you open the camera, notice that there's this line that appears when you begin to bring your camera level. It's a solid line in the middle, with a line at either side, and the more level you are, the more level the line will be. Your phone will also give you a very slight haptic buzz when you get perfectly level, helping you to get the perfect shot. Also, while you're on this page, if you scroll up and tap into record video, then scroll down, you can toggle on a new feature called Lock White Balance. White balance is the process of correcting the color cast in your images so that the white that appears is true white rather than having a blue or yellow tint. This is especially important in situations where the lighting conditions are changing, with an obvious example being going from outdoors to indoors in a single scene. When you lock the white balance, your iPhone won't automatically adjust the setting, even if the lighting conditions change. It's useful for maintaining a consistent look and feel across multiple shots or scenes. So if this is something that's important to the footage that you're capturing on your iPhone, be sure to check out this setting. If you use the reading list function in Safari, iOS 17 includes a widget that you can add to your home screen. So as a reminder, in order to add an article to your reading list, you would tap the share button down at the bottom of the screen and choose Add to Reading List. I'm then going to return to my home screen and tap and hold for a second to enter the home screen edit mode. Tap the plus in the upper left corner of the screen and scroll down until you get to Safari. In here you can see that there are 3 reading list options: a small, medium, and a large widget. For this example, I'm going to choose large, and just like that, I have my Safari reading list showing on my home screen. So there you go, 10 features in iOS 17 that I reckon most people won't know about. What about you? Any features that you would have included in this list? Drop me a comment and let me know. And as ever, if you found this video useful, do please consider leaving me a like and subscribing to my channel for more content like this in the future. See you on the next video.